Welcome, everybody, to our 5th episode of the Breakdown Bros. I'm here with Matthew. I'm Josh. Let's get this party started.
Let's go. Packed show today, as always.
Hey, it's going to be great. I can't wait.
Exciting stuff. First up, we went through Big Ten schedules last week. Now we get a pivot to the second biggest conference. No offense to anyone involved. The SEC. So I have a couple of my winners and losers. And, we take a look at the SEC, and the scheduling isn't quite as egregious as the Big Ten. So this is more a matter of opinion. But my opinion is totally better than Josh's. So I think I'm much more correct.
Yeah. Well, let's go with that. Let's just go with that.
Okay. Well, I'll start.
Go ahead.
My third easiest that I have is Vanderbilt. By the way, quick clarification before this. I'll talk about teams that are ranked wherever in the SEC. I just took their national championship odds and then ranked them in the conference. It's pretty close to what you would expect, like Texas first, Arkansas last. So if I say a team's 10th best in the SEC, that's just based off that. I know it's a rough metric, but this is February, so.
It is February.
And I trust Vegas.
That's a lot more research.
Yeah.
Well done.
Wow. Thank you. Anyways, number 3, easiest schedule winner in the SEC is the Vanderbilt Commodores. What's helping their schedule here is that they don't play Texas, the alleged number 1 team, or the number 3 or 4 team. They do play one game that is very difficult. That is at Georgia. So they start their season against Austin Peay. I don't even know what that is. They get home versus Delaware. Home against NC State is their out of conference. Mm-hmm. And then they go to Auburn and then to Georgia. Those 2 games back-to-back are easily going to be their hardest challenge, especially at Georgia. Easily going to come out of there with at least 1 loss. Okay. Maybe 2. This is Vanderbilt. But then there's some of their games like Ole Miss is at home. If that team's not so good, that's could be a pretty easy win.
Sure.
You get Arkansas at home, which is supposed to be, like the worst SEC team. You play at Kentucky, and then you get a bye week. And then you're right back with at Mississippi State. So, all that part is looking pretty manageable. You do get a game against Alabama at home for your third last game of the season. So, no one's really walking out of here with a cakewalk like Penn State did, but you get Alabama at home, you go to Florida, and then you end your season with Tennessee at home.
Sure.
So you have a tough game at Georgia, and then you have a tough game home against Alabama. But for the most part, I said that's pretty workable. Their bye is late in October, a little later than maybe you would like, but not that bad, especially as they hit the harder part of their schedule in the second part there. So,
What do you think of those last 3 games? I feel like that's a little bit more of a last 3 games, November. People can be tired, I feel like they could drop a couple there.
Yeah, that's true, but you got to remember the 4 weeks leading up to that is Arkansas, Kentucky, bye, Mississippi State.
Now that helps.
So I'd say that's pretty helpful.
That's good.
And you know what? If Vanderbilt's getting to the end of the season with serious playoff hopes and a lot of glimmer in their eye, I'd say that's a pretty big win, and I'd say that gives them an easier schedule. It's better than getting beaten down early and trying to come back, in my opinion. But that's just a matter of opinion.
No, that's fair. So
that was my number 3. I don't know if you ranked yours or not, but
I didn't really rank them, but I do have 3 winners and 3 losers. Okay. So I'll go with my first winner. I actually have Texas.
Really?
I do.
I disagree.
I think that's a hot take. And I'm saying that mainly because of the way their schedule lines up, not by necessarily the strength of their opponents.
Really?
Because I do think Texas is a very manageable, very good team, and I think they're going to be able to manage the schedule to a very good degree.
That's certainly an opinion.
So, first off, they start off with the Texas State Bobcats.
Okay.
Yeah.
No complaints there.
Nice little tune-up. They do go play Ohio State Buckeyes, but they do get them at home. That's very helpful.
It's true. I agree.
I think that's going to be huge. They get a nice little 3-game home streak here. We get UTSA right afterwards, so that's a nice little breather right after the Buckeyes. Then they go play Tennessee. Tennessee is not going to be as good as they were last year. I think that's going to be proven. I don't think that's going to be a difficult game. October 3rd, they have their bye. I think that's awesome. I think that bye lines up perfectly right in the middle of the season. Good reset. Let's get ready to go right before Oklahoma. I think that's awesome. Again, that's a neutral field site. They've been doing all right in that game. They always play Oklahoma, just like Ohio State will always play Michigan. That's just how it goes. Then they get a nice little Florida Gator action. Again, a nice little buffer between hard games. Yeah. Ole Miss at home. Mm-hmm. Again, that's pretty good. Then you go play Mississippi State, another buffer right before you go play Missouri, who was arguably would be meh. So I'm not too terribly made up for it. And then you go to the other side, and the last half of the schedule, you play LSU, which that could be a straight toss-up.
It's true.
As it is. Arkansas, the worst team ever. Again, another buffer for Texas A&M. So I think
that's
you get
real
buffers
interesting.
between every single game that you have. That's pretty hard.
But
And
the games are hard. It doesn't,
I
buffers
understand.
help, but
I'm
the games are
saying
still hard.
We are judging based off of the schedule. I am saying they're going to manage the schedule very well. That schedule lines up perfectly for them.
Right.
If they can ask for anything. So I do think they're a winner.
Well, later I'll explain why I think is one of the harder schedules, and I think Josh is pretty silly for saying that.
I also believe in Texas. So what does that say?
And I don't.
I know.
Okay. We'll continue. My second easiest schedule I had was the Alabama Crimson Tide. And I'll tell you why. Their schedule,
As did I.
it's actually kind of the same reasons you brought up for Texas, except they play way worse opponents than Texas. But I would say that the way their schedule lines up is really nice. You start with East Carolina at home, then you play at Kentucky, and then you play Florida State at home. I don't think they're going to lose this time.
Okay.
And then you play at Mississippi State. All flip,
Sure.
you're already 5 games into your season, and I think any Alabama fan would be extremely upset to have lost a game by now. I mean, East Carolina, Texas, or East Carolina at Kentucky, Florida State, South Carolina at Mississippi State. You should be looking really good, and you should have had plenty of prep for your game against Georgia. Obviously, Georgia's the best team on their schedule, in my opinion, but
Sure.
you get them at home. So even your hardest game, you get in Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa, and then the next week you go to Tennessee, and the week after that you have Texas A&M at home. And I would say by far those 3 weeks are definitely the hard bit of their schedule.
That's a stretch.
But I mean, they go into their 5-0, and then let's say they split the games at home and take care of Tennessee, as I I'd hope they would, and they're definitely planning to. And Tennessee isn't looking to be
I don't
at
think
least
Tennessee's
a
gonna be
powerhouse. I have them
Yeah,
ranked
I wouldn't
11th
be
out of
concerned.
16 here. So you split those games at home against Georgia and Texas A&M, and then you're looking at a really good spot. You probably have one loss going into your bye week. You have your bye week to prepare you for probably what could be your hardest game of the season, which is at LSU. LSU could be an absolute wrecking train at this point. At LSU, could be at night, very well could be at night. Could be a difficult game, but at the same time, it could be not that bad if Lane Kiffin doesn't get it together. What do you think? You think it'd be a hard game, looking like a hard schedule?
I think it's bold for you to say LSU is going to be the hardest. You got Georgia on that. That's
right.
already a guaranteed hardest
Yeah,
game right there.
Against Georgia at home, Alabama kind of takes care of Georgia, except the SEC championship. They didn't, but in the regular season, they got a pretty good track record.
Wow.
I'm saying it could be. Who knows what Georgia's going to be?
It's a
I think it
bold
really
claim.
it's a 6-point swing if you're at home or away. So home against Georgia or away against Alabama, or away against LSU. If Lane Kiffin is doing what everyone thinks he's going to do, by the way, third best odds out of the SEC to win the national championship, right behind Georgia, then I think there's a good argument that could be one of their harder games. But the lucky part is they have a bye to get ready, and then they're at Vanderbilt with no Diego Pavia or anything, and then they get another break because they play Chattanooga the second last week. So, and then they play Auburn, and the best part about that is it's at home, so you don't go to the mysterious and scary realm of Auburn Tigers home stadium. And so I think Alabama should be happy with this schedule for sure. Second easiest schedule in the SEC.
How do you feel about Alabama playing still an FCS school second last week of the season? Even though they do play their 9.
Yeah.
Kentucky's their second week. How do you feel about that?
I think it's a strategy. I don't think it's dumb. In fact, as a fan watching, I kind of enjoy more SEC play earlier in the year. I mean, why not? Unfortunately, they're playing Kentucky, so it's probably not going to be that interesting. I do find it interesting. A couple of these teams have actually stuck to keeping their
FCS school
kind of
second last.
kind of easy game second last, and it kind of makes sense because you really only need one tune-up game, especially if your second tune-up game can just be against an inferior SEC team. I mean, Big Ten could do that too, but I do think it's interesting how they stuck with that, despite
They
going to
did.
9 conference
They did.
games. I don't think it's that dumb. I think you could play the rules that way. It's fine, but I know you might have been upset about FCS school is a little interesting.
As a fan, I'm upset they're playing FCS in November.
Yeah,
As a fan, and which that's what this is, I'm upset.
well, luckily that's the second last weekend of the year, and we already dignified that as going to be a really fun weekend of football. So
I know.
sounds like I'm just not going to watch Alabama that week.
Yeah, I don't plan to.
I mean, there's really no reason to.
I think it's dumb.
So I think they have nice breaks. I think they have not the worst teams. I think Alabama's second best.
Well, I also had Alabama, so then I'll just move on to the third one.
Yep, go ahead.
I have Ole Miss, actually.
As an easy schedule,
I think they got a
I think you
pretty
lost your
favorable
mind.
one.
I think you lost your mind.
Again,
This just shows how close the SEC schedules are, but I disagree strongly with this as well.
they first start off with the Louisville Cardinals. Enough said there. Then they play the Charlotte 49ers.
Louisville?
That's what I have.
Louisville, like ACC Louisville?
Louisville Cardinals, yeah.
Like they're like, ended ranked like 20th? Like
Yeah.
pretty good out of conference game?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Like way better than NC State and
Yeah,
all
I
these
don't
other
think so.
ones?
You think they're going to stay good?
I think they're like a top 3
You think they-
ACC team.
You think they're going to stay good?
Yeah. Louisville's good like every year.
For what reason?
For those that know ball, Louisville's ranked like every year in the last few years. Yeah, they're not ranked high,
They're playing the ACC, bro.
but these are out of conference
They're
games.
playing the ACC.
Most out of conference games they're playing like Minnesota.
They're in the ACC.
They're playing like NC State.
ACC.
Okay, that's not whatever. No, continue. Go ahead.
Then they play the Charlotte 49ers, not to be confused with the San Francisco 49ers.
Okay, sure. Sorry.
And then this is where they play LSU at home. So they get LSU at home.
Sure.
Huge.
Sure.
Then they play Florida away, which is fine. Florida's Florida's a slouch. Okay. Get a bye. Then they're playing at Vanderbilt with Diego Pavia gone. I'm really not concerned about Vanderbilt.
Sure. That's fine.
Missouri, again,
Always a solid team.
solid team, but I've never seen them do anything good, really substantially
Okay.
good. So with Ole Miss there, I'm gonna bet on Ole Miss 9 times out of 10,
Really.
most likely.
Even new head coach and all that jazz.
Yeah, I trust Ole
Yeah, a
Miss
lot of
more
players
than-
leaving.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do.
Okay. No, go ahead.
Then they play at Texas. That's a struggle. That hurts.
Difficult game.
That one stinks. But then they play Auburn at home, easy. Georgia, at least they get them at home. That could be a little bit more of a revenge game, but I'm not really as concerned as well. Georgia's gonna win it because Georgia's a dang good football team.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of like saying Iowa doesn't have Iowa's gonna lose to probably the Buckeyes as well. They're still a good football team for it.
Yeah.
At Oklahoma, that one hurts. I think that one should
difficult.
be circled. Then they play the Wolford Terriers and Mississippi State to finish. I'm not. I think they got one that's but okay. The SEC is gonna always have hard games. There's always gonna be somebody. They avoided Alabama.
Yeah.
They got most of the hard games at home. Sure, they got Oklahoma away. That's tough.
I'll voice my grievances later, I guess.
Go ahead.
But first of all, we have to finish up what I think is the easiest schedule in all of the SEC. I think it's the Georgia Bulldogs. So, Georgia right now, they avoid the number 1, 3, and 4 teams. That would be, they don't play Texas, they don't play LSU, they don't play Texas A&M. So, and they're the number 2 team. So their hardest game of their schedule right now is at Alabama. And I still think that's by far their hardest game. We talked about it earlier. So let's go through their schedule. They start with Tennessee State. Obviously, it should be really easy. Versus Western Kentucky, super easy. One of their away games is at Arkansas. Luckily for them, Arkansas, really simple. So like having
Arkansas
that
should
as
be
one of
fine.
your away games. Then you get Oklahoma at home. One of your harder games for sure. But at least you get them at home. Then you get Vanderbilt at home. And then you have your hardest game, in my opinion, which is at Alabama. And I think, okay, you lose that game. But even if you don't lose that game, whether
Sure.
you do or not, I think they're going to be fine because they get Auburn at home. And then they have a bye to get
Nice.
ready for Florida at home.
Which is a rivalry.
All these games at home. Actually, that's not at home. That's at a neutral site, my bad. So they get Florida at neutral site,
But rivalry.
rivalry. Could be good, could be bad.
Mm-hmm.
Lots to know. And then at Ole Miss. So that's another maybe more difficult game.
Probably difficult.
Depends
game.
how good Ole Miss is going to be. Is Ole Miss actually going to be good? Or is Ole Miss losing their guys, losing their coach, losing everything?
They could
We have no idea what the Pete Golding Ole Miss is going to look like quite yet. In February.
in February.
But I would say there are the other programs that are for sure going to be better. And then you play Missouri at home. I'm not one to write off Missouri, but I think for Georgia
I don't know.
especially, for the teams of the upper echelon like Georgia, I think they haven't really lost to
Missouri reminds me of the Penn State of the Big Ten.
Yeah, see, that's a fair comparison, in which case Georgia shouldn't be
Georgia's
so
not
concerned.
concerned.
And then their other away games at South Carolina, and then their final game, of course, is home against Georgia Tech. They have that game at home, and I don't think Georgia Tech's going to be as good, especially with...
Is Lenora Sellers coming back?
I don't remember. I don't know. Look at me. I'm just a fan. I don't know anything.
No. That's fine.
Yeah,
Just
but
a fan.
to cap it off, I mean, they play at Alabama and they play at Ole Miss, and they could split those games. They could probably lose both of those games, and still be in the playoff at 10-2. Most SEC teams, I'm sure every SEC person would argue if you have 2 losses, you're going to be in. So any Georgia fan, I'd say if you're not getting if you're getting more than 2 losses here, you're going to be extremely concerned.
I would agree.
When's the last time that they've even had 3 losses? I'm actually not sure. It might have been before their back-to-back championships. In which case, it sounds like they're already in the playoffs with this schedule. So that's why I have Georgia as my number 1 easiest SEC schedule, best SEC draw.
I'm slightly concerned of that final stretch there of Florida, Ole Miss, Missouri, South Carolina, Georgia Tech. Mainly because, Florida is a rivalry game, and Florida seems to screw up at least one team
Every year.
They screw up someone. Last year it was Texas. Ole Miss that could be a revenge game, so that maybe they'll be okay there.
Mm-hmm.
Missouri, as we always say, Penn State, for all we know, they may come out of the good woodworks. They've always been decent.
What's interesting about these teams is I would not be incredibly shocked if any of them, like those 3, Florida, Ole Miss, Missouri, all 3 of those could be top 10 teams by the second half of the season. And to be quite fair, South Carolina and Georgia Tech, they could be top 20 teams.
I know Georgia Tech is always trying to find some people.
Georgia Tech,
they're always fighting.
I think both of those, but honestly, all those teams could be top 10 or 20, and all those teams could be
garbage
at the very bottom of their conference. Florida could be last. Ole Miss could be almost last. Missouri could be almost last. South Carolina could be last. Georgia Tech, I mean, not last in the ACC, but they could be pretty low in terms of,
there's a high floor, high ceiling there.
So,
there's a high floor, high ceiling.
Hopefully Georgia knows what teams those are, and then they can prepare for it on the bye week right before that gauntlet. And I think they're going to be fine.
And I think they'll handle that schedule just fine.
It looks like 10 wins to me.
I think they'll handle that schedule just fine. Yeah. It's Georgia.
Yeah.
You could throw a harder schedule, and I'd be like, okay, they'll still make the playoffs.
I agree. So
it's Georgia.
Yeah, that sums up our SEC. I would say easiest schedules. And now we move on
to the hardest,
the harder schedules. I have a quick honorable. Did you have Oklahoma?
No.
Okay. Quick honorable mention to Oklahoma. Mostly because they play Texas. They play Texas A&M. They do miss Georgia and LSU. But the biggest thing making their schedule difficult is I don't like their bye week in October 3rd because you finish the year with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 conference games.
True.
So that's pretty rough. And they're out of conference as Michigan, at Michigan. So I think that makes that schedule pretty hard, but not quite top 3 for me. Who I do have in my top 3, and I'll go through these real quick. My number 3 was Texas, and my number 2 was Ole Miss, which you had as easy.
Which I had as pretty easy.
So real quick, I'm going to argue why Texas is difficult. First of all, I think the caliber of team that they're playing. They're playing Ohio State, and then they're playing LSU and A&M, and they do miss Georgia, but they're playing LSU, A&M, Oklahoma, Florida, Ole Miss, and Missouri, which I think are all top 10 teams in the SEC, on top of Ohio State. And you said their bye week is in the middle of the season, which is mathematically incorrect because it's actually week 5. And I would rather have it be, if you're not going to have it in the middle, I'd rather have it on the back half because you had all the break in the world heading up to your season, and then you play 4 games, and then you have a bye, and then you're ending the game with 8 SEC games. Some people argue that 8 SEC games would leave you like bleeding and dead on a battlefield.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Where's the hard stretch?
So you don't need a hard stretch for a hard schedule. But if I had to give
me a hard stretch.
I would say their last 4 games are ridiculous. 3 of their last 4 games are away, and those away games are Missouri, LSU, and Texas A&M. Yeah, sure, they play Arkansas at home in the middle of that, but 3 of those games are away, and 3 of those games, like we just said about Missouri, they could be top 10 in the league. They could be bad, but LSU and Texas A&M has proven to be pretty consistent. LSU looking like they're going to be a good team. Sure, there's some variability there, but it's February. I think no matter who they are, if there are teams with caliber to be good and 3 out of the last 4 are away, it's just really hard to travel, especially in November. And that's just my opinion, and that's why I think Texas has a harder schedule. Like, they have all that, and then week 2, they're playing Ohio State. That's going to be the hardest game by any team in the first 2 weeks for both teams. Right now, they're favored by 2.5. You can bet that.
Texas is?
Yeah, they are.
It's not shocking.
All right.
Okay.
Anyways,
Oh, that's a shame.
said my piece. I think
Okay.
unless you have refutes.
I'm
think
just
so?
saying we were judging by schedule, and I think the way that their schedule lays out for them, I think is definitely favorable towards Texas, not against them.
Yeah, maybe it could have been worse, but
I think it could definitely be worse.
they don't
It's
play.
not even close. They have a buffer between almost every single game that they need.
Okay, well, buffers
You
don't
play-
really exist.
Buffers
Oklahoma,
do exist.
Florida, Ole Miss, there's not a buffer there. That's
Yes, there
3
is.
hard games.
Florida's a buffer.
Florida could easily be good
With who?
with their new head coach,
With who?
with all the money they have. That's all
With
you
who?
need. That's all you need nowadays.
No, you don't.
You need money and head coach.
No.
Yeah,
If that was true, then Northwestern would be all right if they could just get a new head coach. They have all the
Northwestern
money in
is
the
all
world.
right.
No,
But-
they're about to be slaughtered.
They killed Penn State last year.
They're about to be slaughtered.
They caused the greatest downfall of a team probably in the last decade or two.
No, they're about to be slaughtered
Yeah,
this
okay.
year. They're about to have like 3 wins. That's
No,
it.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
They're about to be slaughtered.
That's fine.
Their bye week is week 2.
Yeah, well, that wasn't my fault. All right. We all agreed Northwestern's was a difficult schedule.
They're about to be slaughtered.
Yeah, well, that schedule is like 10 times worse than whatever you were arguing. Let's move on. Ole Miss Rebels, number 2 hardest. They start their season against Louisville. And you kind of like wish that to the side when Louisville is a pretty decent team. They're a great team. They're one of the only 2 teams that beat Miami actually last year. Yeah. And what do you think about that? Oh, whatever. So I see there's no reason why Ole Miss can't lose to Louisville. And then, of course, they play some hard teams. They're playing Texas, who's supposed to be the best. They're playing Georgia, who's supposed to be second best. They're playing LSU, who's supposed to be third best. They got the top 3 teams in their
I struggle
schedule.
to see how LSU. I don't think you can put
Okay,
LSU
you think
at
I'm
third.
too high on LSU?
Much too high.
You think they'll be bad
I think for in February,
in February?
you're much too high.
I'm much too high.
Yes.
I think looking at what Lane Kiffin has done, if you look
You
at
were
their
looking much
look
too
at their
high.
transfer portal classes,
Okay.
their recruiting, their money they have,
Okay.
all signs are pointing to them being a pretty, at least volatile team. And do you know what a volatile team could do? They can give you fits.
You know what they
All
also
right.
can do?
What?
Just lay an egg.
Yeah, they could.
I think
I would
you're
much
putting much
rather
too much
have
stock
teams.
into LSU right now.
Okay. Even if we
way too much stock.
Okay, if I'm putting too much stock in LSU, then why are they the team in the SEC with the 3rd best odds to win the national championship?
If you're looking at that, then I'm looking at Texas, and yet you're calling me crazy for saying
yeah,
Texas
I am
is a good
calling you
team.
crazy, but I'm still giving them respect on here.
At least stay consistent.
I am staying consistent.
No, you're not.
I am.
But you're pointing to the odds is why you're saying LSU is so good.
I say-
and then the moment Texas is like number 1 almost,
Well-
which they are, you're going, oh no, they can't be that good.
Here's the thing: when the odds and my personal
They have
opinion
more
disagree,
normal personnel.
just because they have a higher odds doesn't mean I think they're going to be bad. I just said I
just
care about
said
the odds.
that.
I care about my opinions first and odds second. All right, and you know what? My opinion and odds agree on LSU.
You
Okay,
use your odds
my
as your
opinion,
support.
my opinion and odds disagree on Texas, and I think people are just betting them because of the hype train. And yeah, people are doing that because of LSU too. But they're 3rd. It's not like they're like last place. Okay,
I'm not saying they should be last place. Sure, I understand. There's talent and everything. I'm not putting them as the 3rd best SEC team right off rip.
okay, because you think Texas A&M is better.
Yes.
They played no one last year. They didn't play any of the top of the conference.
Marcel Reed's
When they
back.
finally did, they got destroyed.
At
They
least
were
have
down 30
continuity.
to South Carolina.
Did they win?
Yeah, because South Carolina
No, my bad.
sucks.
I'm sorry.
South Carolina sucks.
I'm sorry.
At no point should you be down 30.
I'm sorry.
Oh, so if Ohio State was down 30 to Akron, but we won the game, you'd just be, oh, that's fine. We
I'd
won.
be concerned.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, you should be concerned.
I'd
you
be
should be
concerned.
concerned about Texas A&M. My bold
I'm
take
so glad they won.
hinges on all of this actually later.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can't wait.
On Ole Miss?
No.
On LSU.
On everything I'm saying.
Yeah, oh, I can't.
All
wait for
these
this.
teams are
This is gonna be
terrible.
great. Lovely.
Anyways,
Lovely.
okay, so then they go through this not a gauntlet, which is Vanderbilt, really good team last year. Missouri, okay, maybe not so good this year. But Missouri,
Hear yourself.
Vanderbilt, good team last year.
good team last year. They lost
Yeah,
every
okay.
single player.
Okay, this year they're not as good. I'm not done
Interesting.
yet. Missouri
Interesting.
at Texas versus Auburn versus Georgia. You're not saying Texas is bad. You're
I'm
not
not.
saying Georgia's bad.
I'm not.
You were saying Auburn's
They
bad.
have continuity.
I'm going to say Auburn used to be bottom of the barrel.
They have continuity.
At the very least, Auburn can have a head coach now that they actually feel good about, and they could be better than what they were. At least they're going to be dangerous.
Everybody could be better than what they
Actually,
were.
they were dangerous last year. They just lost every single game by like one possession.
Everybody could be better than what they were.
Yeah, okay. Well, they can be. Actually, no, that's not true.
Okay.
Arkansas has very little chance of being better than what they were.
Really?
Kentucky, actually, a little better shot. Mississippi State, no chance of being more than a bottom 5 SEC team.
Okay.
Like, they're good, but they're not that good. Auburn has a history of at times being good. They have a coach that they finally feel better about. After firing Hugh Freeze, I see no reason they can at least be dangerous. And then they get Georgia. I'm just looking at the schedule, and they're out of conferences, Louisville. They play LSU, who I think is... where do you think they should be then? Top 8?
I would definitely just
In the
start in the
SEC?
middle and then go from there.
Okay. I mean, last year they had a winning record.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're saying they're going to get worse?
I'm saying I'm
After
not going to
firing their coach halfway through the season?
I'm not going to give them all their accolades.
I'm
like you
saying
are.
they're going to be like 2 games better, and they're already like a top 5 team in the SEC. Their floor is already so high. You're saying, oh, they're going to be middle of the pack. LSU has never been middle of the pack
You are hyping
team.
them up so much more than what they deserve.
You are
It's not
saying
even
they're going to be a
close.
middle of the pack team.
I'm saying we should start out as a middle of the pack.
I'm
team.
saying
it's February. We
LSU
have no games played.
No. I'm saying LSU as a baseline has always been better than the middle of the pack. They have never been in the middle pack with Missouri and Ole Miss and right now Tennessee. They were always better than those teams. They've always have been.
When have they
So
been in the playoffs?
Why do they drop to the middle of the pack?
I'm asking you. When have they been in the
Middle
playoffs?
of the pack isn't making the playoffs.
Exactly.
Okay.
They're always. When have they been in the playoffs?
When have they been in the playoffs? That does not decide where they are. I'm sorry we went to a 12-team playoff and then they had 2 bad years under Brian Kelly those 2 years. If they had a 12-team playoff, the 2 years before that, they would have been in the playoffs.
2019, they won with Joe Burrow.
Yeah. Okay. They're a great team. Great baseline since then. Haven't been bad.
Okay.
Not middle of the pack.
And yet, all the teams
You're
that
saying
you're trying to mention,
they're
Tennessee made the
basically
playoffs.
Missouri.
Ole
Missouri
Miss
is middle of the
made
pack.
the playoffs.
Missouri is like the most middle of the pack.
Yeah.
And you're saying they're Missouri.
Yes.
Like,
What accolades
do
have
they
they won?
do they play each other?
I don't know.
I don't have either of their schedules. I'd put so much money that LSU wins that game.
I do have LSU as one of my schedules.
But you think they're a harder schedule later? Oh, okay. I don't think they do.
No, they don't.
Okay.
Yeah, until LSU proves something,
Right.
I got nothing.
Okay. You know what? This is just a
They haven't done anything.
measure of opinion. We can change
They haven't done anything.
the statistics, the people, the coaching, the transfer portal, the money, the history. It all points to LSU being better than a middle of the pack team. We'll have to wait till they play the games. We'll have to see.
Still haven't made a playoff since
Right.
2019.
Well, I think Ole Miss has a difficult schedule. Viewers, I encourage you to look at this schedule and decide for yourself if it's a difficult schedule. And yeah, every SEC schedule is difficult, but I think this is more difficult than so. Finally, you want to go with your?
I think I
Harder
should.
schedule?
I think I should go for a little bit.
Go ahead.
I have Florida. Having a pretty difficult schedule, one that I would not be in favor of. They start out with the Florida Atlantic Owls, FAO.
Let's go.
Meh. Campbell Fighting Camels. Camels? Yeah, Camels.
Camels. Didn't know about that.
Camels. But then they go to at Auburn, O'Hare. I think that's
Haunted, maybe.
that's a toss-up game right there for them already off rip. They do get Ole Miss. I think they're going to lose that. That's a hard game. At Missouri, middle of the pack team.
Yeah.
Stay consistent with
True.
that.
No, they are.
But I also think Florida's the middle of the pack team. So again, going to Missouri, again, I would not want that either. If
Okay.
I was Georgia, I wouldn't want to exactly go to Missouri.
Sure.
Then they get South Carolina, which is meh.
Easier game.
At Texas, ouch. They do get a bye in the middle of the week, middle of the season
That's good.
area. So that's nice. But then they go straight to Georgia and neutral field. I hate that. And then they get Oklahoma at home. At least it's home. But still, it's Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's going to be a top-tier SEC team. Then they get a break at Kentucky. That's nice. Vanderbilt, meh. And then they finish at Florida State. And honestly, who knows what Florida State's up to.
Really?
So
Yeah.
I just don't like their away games. I think they just play a caliber of teams that just are just always leagues above them.
Yeah.
And that could be an argument to say Arkansas has one of the hardest schedules. But I just don't like their away games at all for them. And I think that's tough for them. I don't think they're going to struggle to get to 7 wins. 6,
I see.
7 or 6 wins.
Yeah. Rough for Florida. New head coach could do better.
They could.
Have the resources.
It could.
They could be. Maybe
I guess
schedule
I
record.
can move on to my
Yeah,
next
you
one.
can do your next.
Do the next one. I have LSU
Okay.
as a tough one.
Sure.
They start off with Clemson. That's miserable.
Harder out of conference game.
They do get home though, so that's probably a Death Valley at night kind of thing where they'll have them. Then they get a break at Louisiana Tech, meh, and then they go at Ole Miss, struggle. Texas A&M home, McNeese Cowboys. That could be like a pseudo bye, I guess.
Yeah.
In October 3rd, at Kentucky, meh. I mean that's pretty easy. Mississippi State, easy. At Auburn, all right. I don't exactly like going to at Auburn. Then they get the bye at October 31st. That's easy. But these last 4 games is where I struggle with a nice easy one at Arkansas. They go Alabama, Texas, Tennessee.
Wow.
They're going to drop.
Especially at the end of the season.
They're going to
that's
drop some
painful.
games there.
Yeah.
And then easy game at Arkansas, and I'm not concerned about that, but I'm concerned.
Concerned about that.
I'm concerned of those last 4 games. I think they can lose one at Texas A&M, Ole Miss, or Clemson, and they can lose 2 at the last 4.
I see. Well, very possible. My number 1 schedule.
Mhm.
Hardest schedule in the SEC. Well, I think drew the shortest straw. Not as bad, not as egregious as the other schedules, but I did have the Arkansas Razorbacks. They
Yeah.
also happen to be, in my opinion, probably going to be the worst team in the SEC.
Most
But
likely.
it did
They
not
are
help
garbage.
that they just off rip. They got the top 4 teams in the conference, in my opinion. According to the odds, actually, according to the sports bettors,
There we go.
they got Texas,
The
Georgia,
rankings are
LSU, and Texas A&M on here.
Mm-hmm.
In
That's-
addition, they have
yeah.
their out of conference is Utah. So
Oh.
let's go through this.
How
real
did
quick.
Arkansas get Utah as an out of
I'm not
conference?
sure. So let's
Ouch.
just start. They play North Alabama to start. Okay, tune-up game, fine.
Tune up.
Then they go to Utah.
That's quite.
I know they just lost their head coach.
Ouch.
They're still a good team. They're a top Big 12 team, and it's not as bad of a drive as it is for most of the SEC schools from Arkansas.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Okay.
no one wants to be going to Utah.
Sure.
And then you just don't get a break because then you got home against Georgia. Poor Arkansas fans. Luckily, you do get a break. You get a game against Tulsa.
Is that a
which
break?
You'll probably win. Probably win. I'm saying they have 2 wins at this point. I don't see a 3rd win on this schedule. That's what I'm saying. And you've already played Georgia and Utah. I don't see a 3rd win.
Really?
I mean, I see a half a win
Okay.
because
Okay.
here we go.
Okay.
You go to Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd say they're a good team.
I'd say they're a good team.
You get Tennessee at home.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe you could win that game. It's at home. Tennessee could be good, could be bad. They're
It could
kind of
be
on
bad.
the
It
lower
could be
end
bad.
of the SEC. So maybe look there for a win. You're at Vanderbilt. Once again,
They could be bad.
could be bad. Could be bad. But
It's February.
it's February. I agree. But maybe you pick up a win there. But even if you pick up a 3rd win there,
Maybe
you
they
have a
could
bye.
split there.
Exactly. And then you get a bye. And then you're against Missouri at home.
Ouch.
Middle of the pack team. Pretty difficult. At Auburn. Playing
Ouch.
at Auburn. Not easy.
Not easy.
And then here's the half win. I think home against South Carolina.
okay, I'm
if-
really curious if Lenora Sellers is still playing.
If South Carolina has a down year, then, they're going to be maybe winning that game. But then even after that, they go to Texas and they get LSU at home. So that's really that's a struggle for Arkansas
That's a struggle.
fans.
No, that's not
And
ideal.
right now, their win total is set about 4.5. This is one of the 3 win totals that FanDuel has out. And honestly, this is screaming under to me. As much as I'd hate to give any team under 4.5, because that's just brutal. I mean,
Is there a win total out for them?
Yeah, this is
this
one of the 3
4.5?
win totals out. It's 4.5. It's North Alabama. If they beat North Alabama, Tulsa,
And then split 2 games.
South Carolina, and like Vanderbilt, that just means they're at 4 wins. And guess what?
Oh,
That's still under.
Struggle.
So they would have to win. I'm assuming the only way they get to 5 wins really is they beat North Alabama, Tulsa, at Vanderbilt, South Carolina, and then their 5th win would have to be either against Tennessee at home or at Utah, and hope they're bad. So
that's sad.
maybe I should have put some. I hate betting win totals just because my money's gonna be locked up for a while. But you know what? This might be worth
says
it.
under.
The ROI on this is saying this is totally gonna
Put
be
some money on that. Yeah.
under 4.5 for Arkansas. Not looking good.
That sucks.
I don't even remember who they went with for their head coach, their new head coach. I think
No
they have
idea.
one. I don't remember who it is.
No idea. I don't
Probably
pay attention to Arkansas.
an irrelevant person.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to Arkansas.
So
I'll
That's-
go for my last one.
Yep.
I have Auburn.
Auburn.
I have
Okay.
Auburn. So here's what the Auburn schedule is looking like. They start off with Baylor as their out of conference, as one of their big out of conference games.
I'd say that's a harder out
That's
of
a
conference
harder
game.
out of conference game.
Yeah.
There once was a time where they were good.
It's true.
Not as good now.
Yeah.
But I think they're comparable. Then they get the Southern Miss Golden Eagles at home. That's fine. Florida at home. Florida coming to your house. That's always beneficial for you. But
Mhm.
Florida still could be a good team. They could not be. Who knows? I give that a toss-up game.
It is February.
Vanderbilt. Again, Diego Pavia's not there, so I'm not as concerned. But then they go away to Tennessee. And I understand Tennessee's not the cream of the crop anymore. But fighting in that stadium is difficult as heck.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that's any away game at this point is just death to them. They get a bye on October 10th, which is a little on the earlier side from like a week or two. Then they go at Georgia, loss. LSU home, loss. At Ole Miss.
Whoa. LSU loss at home. You're saying middle of the pack SEC team.
Auburn's not middle of the pack.
No, I'm saying you get a middle of the pack SEC team at home, and
Auburn's
it's
not
just an
middle of the pack.
automatic loss.
I think Auburn's a bad team.
A bad team.
Yes.
Okay. Does that just make their schedule bad, or are you just saying they're bad?
I don't know. You could argue that for Arkansas too.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think if any team would have played Arkansas' schedule, it's difficult. That's just me. Okay. No, continue.
At Ole Miss.
Sure.
Hard. Then they get home against Arkansas. Woo!
Yeah. Thank goodness.
At Mississippi State, fine. Home versus Sanford, and then out Alabama. I don't almost every single away game is just an automatic loss for them. Besides, nope, I stand by what I said.
All automatic losses.
All automatic losses.
Really? Well, if Auburn is as bad as they were this year,
I do think Mississippi State will beat Auburn.
okay, that's good.
So
That's not good actually. That's really bad for Auburn and their new head coach.
yeah,
But I think Auburn will be better than that.
did Mississippi State get a new head coach?
No, I don't think
Yep.
they fired theirs.
I love continuity.
Right.
Hot dog.
No, that is good.
Good for them.
Well, that wraps it up for our most difficult SEC schedules and our SEC schedule breakdown in general. Much more balanced conference.
Scheduling wise,
a lot of
ridiculously.
others.
The Big Ten definitely need to take a page out of their book.
I agree. Later
Figure something
we'll
out.
probably talk about ACC and Big 12. I think the ACC is a little bit ridiculous, but that'll probably be next week.
Is that next? Yeah, that's probably next week.
Probably next week.
We'll do next week. All right. Let's move on to our next topic.
Yeah.
What's up with this college football calendar?
So there's been a lot of clamoring going on and a lot of problems, and this is one of the biggest problems is next year. Did you know the championship game is being played on January 25th?
That's
That is a problem. That is way too late.
that is so late.
And so
Why?
even this year, I think it was played on the 19th.
Yeah,
And it felt like it was dragging. And I really care about college football, and I really was interested to see Indiana and Miami in the national championship. But if I had to wait any longer, I was just losing interest.
I was
The
losing interest
NFL was
quick.
getting into the interesting part of their playoffs, and I do watch the NFL playoffs. I think like that is just a huge mistake.
Very much so.
We took it upon ourselves to, kind of make our own fixes. I borrowed a lot of my fixes. There's general online sentiment on how this would go.
Agreed.
I sort of reworked that kind of in my own image, but my general idea of how I would like it to work, mostly for the players, but also just for the general continuity of the calendar, just getting everything together and consistent. So, should I give you my proposed, or do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about the current right now and
what it
kind of
looks
show
like.
what the problems are
Yeah, go ahead.
and what we see.
Yeah.
So first off, we start off with week 0 on August 29th. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Week 0, where not every single team plays, only a couple teams, and they kind of just kick off the college football season. All
I
right.
see.
So that's week 0. Then we get rivalry weekend. We're gonna jump all the way. That got the normal regular season. We're not arguing that. That's perfectly fine.
Okay.
One bye week. All right.
Sure.
We're good. No, rivalry week is November 28th. That's about 91 days
Okay.
from week 0 to rivalry. Okay.
Perfect.
Follow me there. Then we get to conference championship. That's 1 week right after that. 6 days.
Sure.
6 days later. All right. And then we got just the Army-Navy game that following week.
Yeah.
All right. And that's the only game that plays.
True.
All right.
And as a true patriot, I don't hate it. Could be reworked. I know what you're saying.
Yep. We'll go with that. And then right off the Army-Navy game, we go to a quarterfinal or the first round games. Okay. On December 18th and 19th. That's about 6 days. So Army-Navy's more around on that Saturday.
Yep.
Then it's usually the first round is held on that Friday, Saturday
Yes.
of that following week. And then we move to the quarterfinals, which is on December 30th, which is 12 days later.
Oh, okay.
All right. And then we also have another CFP quarterfinal. So we're at the top 4 teams right now.
Yep.
Which is 2 days later on January 1st.
Mm-hmm.
So you could have a 2-week break from playing your first round to your second round.
Really?
If you play on
Also-
December 19th to January 1st.
And so they're just skipping New Year's Eve?
Yes.
They
They
are
are skipping it
game.
this time.
Yeah.
Which
Ridiculous.
is interesting.
Absolutely ridiculous. I heard about that. They were going to do that. And I just don't understand why. And I'm really sad because what am I going to do on New Year's Eve?
Then you have the
I don't know.
semis. So you're in the final 4 teams.
Yep.
And that's 13 days after the quarterfinal. You had
Wow.
another 2-week break.
Wow.
Honestly ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then you have the national championship on January 25th, which was 11 days from the quarterfinals or from the semis, which is basically in fan terms another 2 weeks.
Yeah. So they're just pretty much putting 2 weeks between all the playoff rounds.
Why?
I don't know.
NFL doesn't do that.
I actually don't understand how they come up with this at all. It's so ridiculous.
I think
so
it's crazy. And then to make that even worse, we got Portal in there.
Oh yeah. I don't understand.
What are you supposed to do about that?
the amount of coaches that are leaving? By the way, half these teams are ending. What day is that? Rivalry week. A lot of them are done.
November 28th.
Like November 28th. So they're essentially done 2 months. 2 months after after a ton of FBS teams are done. I mean, if you didn't get 6 wins, you're done.
You're done.
It's over. So
What the
that is just
heck?
ridiculous. I think someone said somewhere that the halfway point in the season is week 11. So you hit week 11, and that's the difference between
That is wild.
week 1, not even weeks, like week 1 to the national championship. It is
That is
the halfway point's like
wild.
week 10 or 11. Absolutely ridiculous.
That's crazy. We can't have that.
So
We can't have that.
I put together a proposal,
Okay.
kind of to fix this, and
Alrighty, commissioner.
there are a couple options here. Yeah, I don't know if I'm the commissioner. I'm just a guy who's suggesting ideas. But I have the actual dates for 2026 and 2027.
Okay.
I think the first thing we have to do, it's kind of inevitable that we have this many playoff rounds, and I don't hate the playoff. But the playoff is 4 weeks, and if we want to wrap this thing up so we can get transfer portal and stuff done, we should start everyone on week 0.
Okay.
And here's the thing about week 0.
Sure.
There are already teams playing. There's no real detriment
Mm-hmm.
to starting everyone at week 0. So instead of just having some people start and then some people get 2 bye weeks and all this jargon that is
Sure.
it's just kind of stupid. Just start everyone at week 0, go for 13 weeks, everyone gets 1 bye, standardize it across the board, and this is August. I'm proposing a start on August 29th. That is
Yep.
not too late. I think that's week 0.
That is week
when it's
0.
supposed
That
to
is
be.
week 0.
Yep. So
You're
then
good.
13 weeks later is rivalry week, which is
would
the
line
week
up.
before Thanksgiving.
Do you
that
like
would
that?
be November 21st. I honestly don't hate rivalry week being not Thanksgiving. Some people say they really feel an affinity to having
Interesting.
rivalry week on Thanksgiving, but we need to move things up. It's inevitable to have
So
things
you think
wrapping up,
rivalry
but we
week
need to
is
wrap them
going
up.
just to be a collateral damage of fixing the schedule?
Yeah, you still have rivalry week.
No, I'm still fine with it.
I mean, I don't see where there's any damage so far.
Some people like Thanksgiving with rivalry week.
Yeah,
I know I enjoyed it.
Yeah, sometimes, but then you know what? You know what happens a lot of the time?
Mm.
Like I'm going to the game and I'm missing a ton of family parties anyway.
Oh, that's true.
Like I'll go to the game or other people go to the game or I watch the game at home while someone's having a family party on Saturday. Like at least here in Ohio, the game is such a big deal that no one would have a family party on the Saturday of Thanksgiving.
Nope, no one
Or
does.
at least most people don't. No one in my friend circles or family circles.
Not in mine.
Or else I just wouldn't be there. But I think that it would be nice.
Okay.
And then the week after
Sure.
Thanksgiving weekend, you could actually have it off. So the NFL's already kind of taken that over completely. What you could do is just put the Army-Navy game. So you move
There
up
we
the
go.
Army-Navy game,
That's what I would do.
and you have it right there. And then the week
America.
after, you have conference championships.
December 5th. All right.
So everyone essentially gets a bye after their 13 weeks of football. And so you should be ready to go week to week for the rest of the year. So you have conference championships. And
Okay.
I think this was an idea that I heard from Josh Pate, but a lot of people talked about, is having 6 elite evaluation bowls. What this basically means is you take 6 bowl games, doesn't matter which bowl games, and you have teams play each other that are not in conference championships. Because here's the problem. We always have teams who aren't in their conference championship, and they just have to sit home and like hope and pray that they make it.
Sure.
So what you would do is you would have these bowl games, and they're not playing games, but they're just data points for the college football committee. So
Okay.
everyone who's in their conference championship would, essentially make it, or probably make it, or at least get their data point. But then we could have had games like Utah against Oregon, Miami against Oklahoma, Texas A&M against BYU, Notre Dame versus Ole Miss, Texas versus USC, Vanderbilt versus Michigan. We could have had games like that as data points for teams who were outside of the bubble to help them decide, instead of just saying, well, you know what, we can't leave Alabama out, and you know what, we can't leave the ACC out, so we're going to put Miami in there, and we're going to leave Notre Dame out. Like, these teams could actually be playing. Like, BYU wasn't in a conference championship game, or maybe they were, I don't actually remember. But whatever Big 12 team wasn't
No.
in a conference championship game, who really thought they could have won, they could be playing in one of these bowl games. And that puts a bigger emphasis on bowl season, which is super fun as well. And so you use those data points, and since it's mostly just a model anyway, on Sunday you have Selection Sunday. And
Okay.
whether the playoff is 12 or 16 teams, it doesn't matter. You can have the first round the week after, hopefully, on home field, if I could do it.
Yeah.
And then the quarterfinals the week after that, which is December 19th, also on home field. And then you could have the week after that. You just got to, spend Thanksgiving with your family. So we're going to go through Christmas. The Saturday, the 26th, you could have the semifinals.
Not Kwanzaa.
You could have it on Boxing Day, right?
And Kwanzaa.
Or both? Oh, okay.
Both on the
well,
same day.
You could have it on December 26th. It's the semifinals. And then 1 week after that, you can have the national championship. And that would be on January 2nd. That way you could open up National Signing Day like January 4th on that Monday. And then the week after that, you could have the transfer portal open. And then everyone can move in the transfer portal at the same time. And you could have the transfer portal wrapped up. You can have all your guys signed pretty much by the end of January. And then transfer portal will wrap up because there'll be kids stuck in the transfer portal by at the very least, the beginning of February. And then you know what your team is like without having, extended transfer portal for teams who are going farther in the playoffs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then you can take pretty much all of February and March just to focus on spring ball finally and actually wrap up the season. The only other thing I would do to change the schedule, perhaps, is you could go all the way through and play games on Thanksgiving as well and move everything up a week if you really wanted to, or give yourself a break later. I just think it's still nice to have a time slot window of 4 hours for Army-Navy just to make sure it exists, even if you have other games on that day. Because, I mean, will the NFL even pull their games for Army-Navy to happen
No.
if they did it during Thanksgiving?
No.
Probably not. Maybe if, Donald Trump goes through with his executive order to say all media rights must stop for the Army-Navy game, which he threatened on Truth Social. Very strange. Interesting guy.
Interesting. All right.
So, yeah, basically start on week 0, move everything up a week.
Yeah.
Everyone is on the same time slot, and then you do the playoffs 4 weeks in a row. There's no reason to be having breaks here, especially when you give everyone a break the weekend of Army-Navy.
All right, I'm going to pick your brain then. I think you're going to find kickback on that evaluation games.
These evaluation bowl games? And why is that?
Evaluation bowl games. How do you decide what goes where, right?
Yeah.
And then do you I understand we're using them as data points, right?
Mm-hmm.
But say Alabama doesn't make it, but then Alabama goes ahead and beats Oregon.
Yeah.
Right? Big win.
Of course.
But then those that made the championship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Should those at least be held in higher weight? The fact that they even made their championship compared to everybody else?
So
I'm concerned about where we go into the fact that, Alabama and Oregon Alabama was given the opportunity to play a harder team, supposedly, in Oregon, while Ohio State, Indiana were battling it out, right? Mm-hmm. Or Ohio State and whoever got the easy schedule for that year, Penn State or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And say Penn State, the lesser of the teams, beat Ohio State, right? And then Ohio State's on the bubble, but they made the championship game.
Yeah.
And Alabama didn't.
Yeah.
And if you're comparing apples to apples, sure, Alabama has the better win against Oregon.
Yes.
And how Ohio State lost. But Ohio State made the championship game.
Mm.
So I'm concerned about where we go with how do we evaluate that? How do we hold proper weight? And who gets to play who? I think that's important.
I would say that in an ideal world, this was put together mostly looking at a 16-team playoff, which I think is kind of inevitable. It's actually really interesting how the Big Ten actually wanted a 24-team playoff, which I'm not a huge fan of.
No, that seems like a lot.
I think that's way overboard. And the SEC wanted a 16-team playoff. But because of the way that the sport is structured, the Big Ten and SEC commissioners and peoples have like all the power. But since they actually couldn't decide on whether to do 16 or 24, they argued so much that the end result was actually 12 for this year. So that's why they actually stayed at 12, or else they wanted 16 or 24, and it actually stayed at 12 because of how much they were arguing, if you didn't know that. So this was kind of made for 16, and
petty people.
What would happen if there were 16 is the SEC and the Big Ten, whoever made their conference championship would be guaranteed a spot. Automatically. Both teams who made it. I would say it gets a little hairier with the ACC and the Big 12. In an ideal world, I would hope the championship games are weighted a little stronger.
Okay.
But then again, we had Duke and Virginia, in the ACC championship.
I understand.
I know they're reworking their tiebreaker, but
they got there.
Yeah,
Miami had to beat
It was a
someone.
fluke. It was so stupid how Duke got there. They had 5 losses.
I understand.
Yeah, you don't understand. What do you mean you understand?
They won their conference games. They did their job.
No, they didn't do their job. Duke
It is
lost
not- it is
more
not-
games
it is
within their conference, but because it didn't count as a conference game.
That's
saying,
an ACC problem, not a Duke problem.
Yeah, exactly. I'm saying they don't deserve anything.
I don't think you can do. Then you got to tell the ACC to get their shit together.
Yeah, which they are. They're getting their stuff together. Yeah.
I'm not going to penalize Duke for that.
Yeah,
as a team.
Well, you should penalize Duke for their 5 losses.
They got in their championship.
Not for making their championship.
I'm looking at Miami and saying, why didn't you do better?
No,
instead,
because Miami had 2 losses. Duke had 5 losses. Miami had 2 conference losses. Duke had 3 conference losses, except one of those games didn't count as an ACC game because the ACC is screwed up and their everything was screwed up so bad. I
blame ACC.
Right,
I don't blame Duke.
Any competent committee member would hopefully see Miami and Duke, look at them against each other, and then put Miami in. And I see no problem with that.
If Duke won that, what would happen?
If Duke won it? Okay. First of all, they're going to fix all this.
Competent.
People know ACC is going to fix their tiebreakers.
But they're competent. They would surely put Miami in over Duke.
You can still have the
ACC
championship winners in automatically, sure.
I
I think this is a moot point, and this is never happening again.
I understand. Wow, knock on wood for that.
And also, yeah, it can't happen again because they're going to rework it.
Sure.
It was such a disaster because everyone knew Duke was so much worse.
I agree.
They did win, by the way. Duke did win.
Duke did win.
They did win the game.
And they still didn't get in.
Yeah, because they didn't deserve it.
And
And the actual playoff actually had it wrong because the playoff actually now is taking one of every Power 4 guaranteed.
And you think the Power 5s deserved in?
What? No, I don't think anyone's deserved in. Why even give automatic bids to anyone, honestly? This is a whole separate conversation. We're losing it here. Let's get back to what we were talking about.
Tournaments, man. Tournaments.
These evaluation bowls, you would just take the CFP rankings. You would take the top 12 teams who aren't in a championship game, and you put them all against each other. Now, however you decide that formula, I don't know. Maybe you look at how far they would have to travel, or maybe you would just put you'd put the 13th team with the first best team, not in a championship, with the 12th best team who's not in a championship, like that. I don't know. They could work that out. I think all those teams at that point are so close that the only real problem would be where you're traveling to. Although, yeah, it's bowl games, so it's technically neutral
It's
site.
already neutral.
So I think it would be interesting. I would love to see it as a fan.
I would struggle to be. I would be like, man, I am playing for my life in the in the conference championship. If I'm like ranked 10th and I'm playing like the number 4 team in the nation and I lose, and then someone else from down low wins, and then all of a sudden they have a more powerful win for that weekend, even though I play the number 4 team in the nation.
But it could work the other way too.
Usually it just drops every time though.
You could play a team, and then you play fine. Let's say you lose the game by a touchdown. Let's say you are like BYU. Actually, BYU did play in the Big 12 championship. Let's say you're BYU. You're ranked, I think they were ranked 10th, and then they moved to 11th when they lost, so they could put Miami in. But you're BYU, and you play Texas Tech for the second time all year. And the only game you lost was Texas Tech, and then you play in the conference championship. You lose to Texas Tech. Now, in this playoff, they didn't make it.
I know.
They didn't make it with 12. What could happen in a future playoff is someone ahead of you loses. Because, right, this year, BYU went into their conference championship, and even though they were 10th, if they lost, they were out. They were going to drop them at least once in their conference championship, which is stupid. But that's what everyone knew was going to happen because they had to have Alabama in, and they had to have an ACC team in, so they put Miami in. But if you're BYU, instead of saying, okay, we lose, we're out, you could say, okay, we lose, but some of these, let's say, Texas SEC played horribly in bowl games, right? But they still had, in this year's playoff, they had Texas A&M, they had Ole Miss. If those teams played games against, let's say, Oregon or USC or Michigan or Utah, and they lost, then all of a sudden, maybe it's not Utah jumping up all the way in, but it's actually BYU jumping in because Texas A&M is moving down. You're catching what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So instead of just being completely hopeless, you could say, oh, man, Texas looked really bad against Utah, and Utah didn't quite play good enough to get put in. Maybe Utah jumps 4 spots. But you, as BYU, you just jump 1 spot because Texas A&M falls that far.
I see what you're saying.
I think it kind of works both ways. And as a viewer, I just think it would be so much more interesting.
More football's always great.
Most of the time.
When is it not?
I don't want a 70-game regular season.
We're not the NBA.
Yeah, it gets to a point. But I think in this case, just having the top conference teams, especially with the super conferences, there are a ton of great teams just sitting that week, and it's helping them because, they get a rest. So that's my idea. I think anything is better than what they're currently doing.
Anything's better than what they have. So I don't know who's running this whole gambit, but it ain't good.
It's not good.
It ain't good.
All right,
let's move on.
Moving on. What do you have next?
Let's see. Want to talk about Mr. Dylan Watercutter's question?
We could.
Let's do that. Or actually, psych. Let's not do that. Let's talk about stadiums. Because
Okay.
I know that was a comment a couple weeks ago, and we haven't done it yet. Let's
Yeah.
make sure we hit that.
We got a comment from one of our favorite viewers, but she is actually in the
She?
Ohio State marching band, and
She?
she was in the marching band last year, and so she's been to a ton of stadiums, and we actually haven't because we're poor. So we got to kind of judge this segment based on public sentiment, a little bit on how you see it on TV, even though it's not quite the same, but they try to capture it, and we're just going to give our ideas at, some of our favorite college football stadiums. You have some criteria for yours.
I have some criterias for mine
I just
that
have
I
a top
looked at.
few. So I think you should start, and I'll just mention some that maybe you don't get to.
Sure. I had mine on 3 criteria.
Okay.
History was 1, dominance, and atmosphere. And I was just kind of just looking through, and as obviously, as you said, as a fan, I've never been to any of these.
Exactly.
I am just going off what I thought looked cool and a little bit of stats. And that's what I went off of.
Very opinionated segment here.
Very. So, history, you got to take the Rose Bowl.
I love it.
I mean, how do you not? I don't know if there's almost any other stadium that's nearly as historical as that.
I'd agree. That's a storied stadium. It's got a lot of character. Maybe you could talk like Notre Dame.
Notre Dame's a bit up there.
I just gonna try to give you seconds there, but I would just have to agree the Rose Bowl is up there.
Notre Dame's up there for sure.
It's so iconic. The game,
Rose
New
Bowl.
Year's Eve,
There's so many good games that have occurred there of the history of
or New
of
Year's
its
Day.
time.
Yeah,
How do you not take it?
I agree.
Then I would say dominance.
Mm-hmm.
Dominance there. I think that's important for any stadium, and I'm kind of looking at like some home win records right now.
Yeah. Dominance fills seats for sure.
Memorial Stadium, Clemson.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
like 65-3 since 2011. They don't lose at home.
Very good.
It just doesn't happen. Neither does Alabama, the Bryant-Denny Stadium. Again, absurd.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say the horseshoe. The shoe in the Ohio State is just, whenever you go there, you know you're going to either be in a close, tight game or you're going to get slaughtered.
Yep, except Michigan, which is the reason we don't have a home winning streak. Honestly,
Yeah.
it'd be so much better. I think if you're going to bring up those, you'd also have to talk about Sanford Stadium.
Yep,
Georgia.
Georgia's up there.
I know it's more recent, but they did have the longest home winning streak for forever until they
Washington.
lost to Alabama. Yeah.
Washington had it for a little bit. They were like second. They were like 33 wins in a row or something like that.
Washington
I
was
know
really
Oregon
good.
had a very high streak going,
And they're just high percentage winning at home.
but they always those teams win at home.
Yeah.
And that could be their Oregon and Washington traveling.
Mm-hmm.
That can cause some shenanigans for a team,
For sure.
or they're just a good football team like Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, Georgia.
Of course.
But as you said, good teams bring crowds.
Yeah.
They bring loud crowds too.
Of course.
It's obviously rambunctious. And then I'm going to say atmosphere is my last criteria that I kind of ranked in my top 3. Death Valley.
Yeah.
I mean,
What a nickname. The loudest
How do
place
you-
in
how do you
college
get
football
that?
is another nickname.
that is
Yeah.
insane.
they
Beaver
claim.
Stadium, the whiteout. I that is on a bucket list of mine to go to. I
For sure.
want to be there at some point. I would look at the 12th man, Aggies. They're awesome. Nayland,
Kyle
Tennessee,
Field.
Kyle
Yep.
Field.
Neyland Stadium, also up there.
How do you beat them? When you go there, you're just washed over as a fan. Not that I've ever been there. Just going off people who say stuff.
Yeah. And I think even as Ohio State fans, you do have to say that the frickin' ugly hole, Michigan Stadium,
I didn't want to mention them.
the big house. Yeah, okay. Well, there's a hole in the ground.
Kills
There's a
me.
lot of people. A lot of
Kills
people
me,
say it's
bro.
pretty cool.
Michigan.
So they say that's a pretty good stadium.
I heard
as
it's
well.
nice. It's on a
That's
bucket
what they
list
say.
as well to go and watch a
Mhm.
game there. The game there.
The game there. That's
The
the only
game.
game I would really ever watch there.
Yeah, I'm not going there for anything else.
Unless UC was like a 10-point favorite and playing there, because that'd be funny. Or any Group of 5 school. Wouldn't that be fun? Okay. Sorry. They're not G5. Oh, man. That's so mean.
Dylan.
Yeah, we had some shout-outs, some stadiums we didn't talk about. Darrell K. Royal, Texas Memorial Stadium. I didn't know it was called that, but that's where Texas plays. It's just
Autzen.
big. Autzen Stadium.
Autzen, Oregon.
Camp Randall Stadium is apparently
Hey,
what
jump around.
Wisconsin's is called. That's quite interesting.
I heard that's fun.
Jordan Hare Stadium, because it's haunted, especially for Alabama fans. That's Auburn Stadium, for anyone who doesn't know. And then Kinnick Stadium also claims to be haunted, but they do the wave to the hospital, and that's really nice, and it warms all of our hearts quite a bit.
Hey, my faith in humanity is usually restored when I see it.
No, they show it on like ESPN once or twice a year, and
It's a classic.
nice.
It's a
good.
classic. But
Yeah.
that's all we got really for you, wonderful viewer of ours.
Yeah, maybe you learned something about some stadiums. It's strongly correlated with storied teams.
I would actually like to know your favorite since you've actually been to more.
Yes, Bingo,
Bingo.
I believe is her handle. I would love to know.
I would love to know what you think.
Other than Ohio State, because Ohio State marching band. Other
That's
than Ohio
biased.
State, what's your favorite
That's biased.
stadium?
Give us
you've
top
been
3.
to? For sure.
I would like to know.
Great.
All right, let's hit the questions.
All right. We had a listener question from the Dylan Watercutter. He's back on the
9305.
show. We really do appreciate him.
We'll have to have him on one of these times.
We will, because I really do appreciate him, giving us things to talk about at the show.
Hey, it's off season. We need it.
I know. So here we go. Here's the question. Do you think Ohio State can/will continue to produce the best wide receiver talent now that NIL has taken over? With young talent shifting around so quick, will they be able to keep big names long enough to continue being the current wide receiver U? So off rip, I appreciate you saying Ohio State is wide receiver U.
Yeah, I think that is
quite
a key
accurate.
distinction.
We've had 4 years in a row with a wide receiver in the first round.
Make it 5 this year.
It's going to be 5 with Cardinal Tate, almost assuredly. And I think
6.
one of those years we've had 2 go in the first round.
Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson.
Exactly. He knows ball. And yeah, next year I would
Jeremiah Smith.
hope Jeremiah Smith goes in the first round unless he has a horrible year or a crazy injury. So, yes, I'd say we're wide receiver U, and we could even be wide receiver U until next year. But he makes a really good point. All the talent is shifting around. The curve is kind of being, and just in a general sense, as Buckeye fans, we haven't really talked about this, but as much as I love parity in college football, I will acknowledge it's technically not good for Ohio State. Like, they're not going to be
No,
as
it's
dominant, just like any other, historically good program. I love parity for the sport. It's not good for our team, Ohio State, which is fine. Like I said, I love the parity in the sport.
Parody's good,
But
I don't like it for my team.
and that's going to come in wide receivers too. Like, they're also going to flatten out. So, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think it's important to establish what creates wide receiver U. Whether it be stats in the NFL, draft picks, or just overall dominance of the wide receiver in the college level. But even though, as long as we establish that, I still do think wide receiver U will still be Ohio State to a sense. I do think they'll always be a contender there for it because Ohio State still has brand. First off, they have it well known that if you want to be good in the NFL, you go to Ohio State. And now you could argue that Brian Hartline's gone, and that could draw in have some kickback there. But I do think our current wide receiver coach, I forget what's his name, but I'm pretty sure he came from LSU, is a perfectly capable candidate as well to foster talent and to create first-round draft picks. So I'm not really concerned about that. And then also to create wide receiver you need good QB play, you need some good facilities, you need NIL, and Ohio State's got all of that. I don't think there's been one down year where Ohio State didn't have a great quarterback. So that's never really in question.
Yeah,
for
our
Ohio State.
kind of bar for bad quarterback is Kyle McCord, and he wasn't even that bad. And he went to Syracuse, and then he was pretty good, except throwing like
He threw so many picks.
5 picks in one half of a game.
So many
But
picks.
other than that, he was technically pretty good. I think he finished with a couple Heisman votes, maybe.
He did. He
Yeah.
did.
Crazy. But that's kind of our bar for like a bad quarterback. And we've just been good. Like Quinn Ewers used to be in our locker room.
Used to be.
Joe Burrow used to be in our locker room. I'm not an Ohio State fan claiming them, but I'm just saying, I mean, in general,
We accrue talent.
we recruit talent, and they're usually pretty good. So, and that's something I was going to say. It is important to have a good quarterback to be wide receiver U.
Mm-hmm.
So we build around that. And like Josh said, we had the NIL, we have the facilities, and we have the brand. Like, if I were a kid, if I'm a 5-star wide receiver, and I look at where I'm going, yeah, okay, now that Brian Hartline's gone, it's like, was he the whole reason they were wide receiver U? I think he was obviously a good help, but I don't think
I
it's
think it's huge.
just going to strip us of the title. So somehow we've won very little Blitnikoffs. But despite that,
That's a whole other argument.
despite that, I still think that if I'm a 5-star wide receiver, it's just a really safe bet. If my goal is to make it to the NFL, or especially if my goal is to be a round 1 wide receiver in the NFL, I just can't think there's a better place to go than Ohio State.
I don't
right
think
now.
there is.
Now, could that change? This will change the most over the course of probably next year and the year after that, especially as we
Yes.
get rid of our key piece at our coaching staff, and we already know our top guy was our top guy going to the draft was Carnell Tate, and next year's Jeremiah Smith. But
After that,
we're really gonna see next year if there's anyone who can kind of continue being good. This is especially concerning because I'm pretty sure we had 2 wide receivers go to Notre Dame,
we did have just 2
And
5-stars leave.
2 5-star wide receivers. So I see where the concern is coming from. I am more concerned than we used to be about our wide receiver talent, especially since having just super elite wide receivers does not always equal wins, especially
They do
in big
not
games.
equal wins.
Because last year we had 2 first-round wide receivers. Jeremiah Smith couldn't go to the draft, but our wide receiver 2 is going to the draft as either the number 1 wide receiver or right behind Mekhi Lemon. So
Yeah.
So I would say, you know what, it doesn't always equal wins. So maybe I'm just too sentimental towards this, wide receiver U title or whatever.
It could be a little bit more era dependent, depending on the coach usage, and NIL development. So maybe we're not wide receiver U in 5 years, but I do believe that Ohio State is definitely a top candidate to always be wide receiver U at some point.
I mean, as long as we have this many guys in the NFL as well, it's just
It's
hard
insane.
to ignore.
How do you say no?
LSU has had good wide receivers. They're kind of slowing down, especially with their team being in general bad. But people make the argument all the time just because Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and I guess Malik Neighbors.
Malik Neighbors now.
So those,
Brian Thomas.
even though Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson were so long ago, they're still a core part of the LSU argument for wide receiver.
Correct.
For sure. So as long as that's happening, we just had JSN win the Super Bowl. Got hurt, wasn't quite MVP, but
No, he did get hurt.
I wouldn't even get into that because their kicker should have been MVP, but that's just
Go Myers.
going crazy.
So I don't know. I would probably just say, yeah, they'll be okay.
I think they'll be fine. I think sometimes maybe even our offensive play style, because our whole thing this year was to play less snaps. And I think sometimes that actually kind of hurts your
Oh, it does.
stats. And so we ended up playing, we talked about how good it was. We're playing one less game by the end of the season. Well, first of all, we ended up playing a lot less games because we got out in the first round of the playoffs. But even more than that, it's like we're losing some stats, and
We're losing some snaps that could give people yards.
That's true.
But yeah, that doesn't stop Carnell Tate or Jeremiah Smith being dominant, and NFL scouts going, yeah, they're going to be good.
Well, now we have 2 2 NFL coordinators. We are Arthur Smith. We'll see how he is the most run-heavy offensive coordinator that existed in the NFL. I don't know the exact metrics. It is absolutely crazy. Ask any Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Arthur Smith ran the ball more than anyone else. You know what? That could even hurt us too. And that's really possible, and I really hope he doesn't quite turn our team into that because we still have amazing wide receiver talent, especially in Jeremiah Smith. But that, you know what? That's just hitting me right now, and that's just a little bit concerning. I think, long story short, we're wide receiver U for the next 2 years. But after that,
it's a toss-up.
In 2 years, it could be bad.
Who knows?
Okay.
Bold predictions.
Round in the corner. Bold predictions. Do you want to go first or me?
I can go first.
Go ahead.
Here's my bold prediction, and I don't really have any basis off this. This is just what I feel like is going to happen.
Okay. That's our favorite types.
In the playoffs this year, I think the teams with bye weeks will go 3-1.
Really? They will go 3-1.
I think they're going to figure it out this year.
So, okay, that's very interesting because the playoffs have changed. Notre Dame's in automatically at top 12. The Power 4 all get an automatic bid.
Yep.
And there's no automatic for Group of 5, right?
Nope.
So there will be 4 teams getting a bye. If this were 3 years ago, that would just seem like common sense.
But it's not this time, and that's why it's a bold take.
If people didn't know, the teams with a bye are 1-7.
Yep.
with the bye. The first year they went 0-4. Now 2 of those were Boise State and Arizona State.
Yes.
But still, the year after that, every team who had a bye lost, except the team who went on to win it all, Indiana. So I would say that is pretty bold. You're saying exactly 3-1.
Yes.
But if I were to guess what they would do, I would probably guess 2-2. 4-0 would be crazy.
I don't think it's going to be 4-0.
I don't even know what's more likely. I would say most likely is 2-2. Next likely is 1-3. Next likely is
3-1.
3-1. Then
4-0.
0-4. Then 4-0. No, then 4-0. Then 0-4.
I think 4-0, then 0-4.
0-4 is just ridiculous. But it's happened before.
With Boise
So-
State, Arizona State.
I'm really confused. If our scale's 0 to 7, then 3.5 is in the middle.
Yeah.
Then I am going to have to give this a 4.5.
Okay.
I don't think it's that bold. Let me think. How does that feel? 4.5 for this? Yeah. I don't think it's that crazy. I think if we had no historical data, that should be about what happens every time.
That should be about.
But because we have historical data,
it's a bold take
I'm
now.
going a slight bit bolder. I'm going to give it a 4.5.
Nice. That's a quick steal of a 4.5 right there.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
We'll see what happens.
All right, what you got?
All right. So, like I said earlier, if we looked at the top 5 teams, according to, a bunch of metrics,
Okay.
a bunch of metrics being national championship odds.
Sure.
Number 1's Texas.
Yes.
Number 2's Georgia.
Yes.
Number 3's LSU.
Yes.
LSU.
I'm aware.
Number 4 is Texas A&M.
I heard you.
Number 5 is Alabama.
Noted.
Number 6 is Oklahoma.
Okay.
Number 7 is Florida.
Okay.
Number 8's Ole Miss.
Got it. Wow.
Right.
I got to remember all that.
I got that all memorized. Actually, I think I
glad.
could do almost all of them at this point.
Please don't.
I won't. But I am not so high on Texas, and you know this.
I know this.
And I think LSU is very volatile. I don't think they're going to be consistent, but I think they're going to be dangerous.
Okay.
I think Texas A&M isn't that good.
Noted. So
I
the
think
three of the
last
top,
year,
5.
I think last year they weren't that great. I think Georgia's good, and I think they're
Georgia's
always good, and they have an easy schedule. I think Alabama is a little underrated,
Okay.
and especially after seeing their good schedule. I think they're pretty good. What's this leading to? I think the SEC championship will be a repeat of last year. I think it will be Georgia and Alabama in the SEC championship.
No way.
Yep, that's my bold prediction. I don't believe in Texas. I don't think LSU will be consistent enough to win. I don't think Texas A&M was ever that good. I don't think Oklahoma actually is kind of the sneaky pick to make it. I think they could be a
Go
little
down the
dangerous.
tier.
I think Ole Miss will be volatile with their new head coach. They could be good or bad. They could be maybe good. And then all the teams after that aren't really sniffing it that much. I mean, not really Tennessee, Auburn, Missouri. I just don't see them really making it. And
Okay.
so if I'm being consistent, like I said,
Stay consistent.
I think Georgia and Alabama have always been good. I know there's parity in the league, but they know how to do it. I think now that they're a little underrated, that Alabama will perform better. I think they got easy schedules. I think it will be a SEC championship rematch next year. That's right. I'm calling the exact 2 teams. I won't say who wins, but I'm calling the exact 2 teams.
So, okay. Walking through this in my head. Georgia's fine. Georgia's going to win. They're going to do this.
Georgia seems like a pretty
that's a
solid
safe
pick.
bet. So, really, we're questioning if Alabama or the field.
And that should... No. I mean, Georgia's not guaranteed in. They could have an injury and they're just out of it. So
They could.
It's a little bold, but I would agree.
Alabama or the field.
Georgia's definitely my favorite pick to go to the
Texas,
SEC championship.
Oklahoma. I'm high in Texas. I don't think LSU is that good. Ole Miss is in there. Texas A&M.
Texas doesn't play Georgia, so that's one less loss on their schedule. Because they always lose to Georgia.
I'm going to have to give that a 6.
6. You heard it here. Still, how's it feel? 6 in your head. What do you think?
Seems low.
Seems low.
6.25. Can I do quarters?
Can we do quarters?
Yes.
You've just decided yes?
I've just decided yes.
Okay.
6.25.
All right.
Yeah, I think calling both of them and
Calling the exact SEC.
calling the exact SEC, especially with Alabama. I'm again February.
February. Oh, in February.
In February.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm concerned.
Okay.
6.25. I'm not gonna give it a 7. I
Okay.
think. Sure, it's likely. It not likely. It's possible.
Yeah. It's well within the realm of possibility, but there are
They've
a lot
proven that they can get there all often. So I'm gonna say 6.25, and I'm gonna keep it at that. Yep, final.
Sounds good. All right.
Hey, that's it.
Yeah. Thank you for watching our show today.
That was a long one.
Be sure to like and subscribe and get your friends to subscribe.
Yes, please.
And
More comments. More comments. More comments.
you know what? Even if you subscribe and forget about us until, the season starts,
That's
just remember us when the season starts.
That's fine.
We'll be around. We'll still have content all year long. We have some fun things planned in the future. We've got in the works. Maybe one of our first guests, but we don't know how that would work
We
because
got,
we'd have to.
we got a guest. We got a model coming up here soon.
Oh yeah, a model. Really?
We do have a model coming up here. We're gonna design.
Make lots of
something.
money on it. Oh yeah.
We're gonna do our best.
Oh,
See how that goes.
sharps, and commentators. I can't wait.
I know.
It's be a lot of fun.
Here we
So
go.
we have a lot of stuff planned to go. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.